In the Western Cape, tensions between farm workers have spilled out into the streets of Robertson, one of the townships there. Lesotho and Zimbabwean nationals have been fighting over scarce job opportunities in the area. Labour Department's chief inspector in the province says they need to determine how undocumented people got work on the farms.
When we looked at our records, we could not find any application from anybody for a corporate permit. And so the first thing we're going to do is to determine how these people got in, and secondly, on what grounds were they employed by the farmers. And in this case, we are being told that there are labour brokers involved. Labour brokers, by its very nature, needs to be registered with the Department of Labour. And we've had this agreement with the Department of Agriculture as well as Agri Western Cape, that they would not allow unregistered labour brokers to bring labour onto the farms. And that is quite disturbing when I find out. And therefore, our target will be the labour brokers who brought these people in, but also the farmers who then accepted people on their farms when in fact they knew these people were undocumented at all.
Let's take that story forward now. This week, we witnessed violent clashes erupt between Zimbabwe and Lesotho nationals in the Western Cape over employment on farms. It's been alleged that Zimbabweans are taking jobs from Lesotho nationals on local farms. Approximately 200 people have since been forced to evacuate the area and seek refuge at a nearby police station. National Organising Secretary of Commercial, Agriculture and Allied Workers Union, Karel Swart, joins me now to discuss this. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. Perhaps just speak to us about your understanding of the situation and how volatile it is between Zimbabweans and those from Lesotho with regards to job opportunities.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you to the listeners. I think the situation is calm now, but on Thursday and Friday, the situation was very volatile.
Sorry, Karel, sorry to interject you. If I can just maybe ask you to sit back, because we can't see your face, and we would just like to see your face during this interview. So if you could maybe just sit back for us. Yeah, that's much better. Thank you. Right. Sorry, if you can continue.
Thank you very much. I said that Thursday and Friday, the situation was very volatile and very explosive, but the situation is calmed down after the intervention of the public or the police. But some of the people still leaving the area, some Zimbabwean people leaving the area on their way to nowhere. But the situation is so very dangerous for them, and some of the migrant people have decided to leave the area.
Speak to us about how this violence that has erupted in the area also includes over 200 people who are mostly women and children and have now needed to seek refuge at a nearby police station. Speak to us about that.
The problem is labour brokers. That is the heart of the problem. The problem is labour brokers, and unless we address labour brokers decisively and finding a permanent solution, we will sit with this problem forever. So the people allege that there is labour brokers, the Lesotho labour brokers. Basically, they only employ Lesothos. Then the tensions built up between our local people in the area, and we can call it so-called colours. And in the one end, you're seeing Zimbabwean people. But the tension, a tension arose between the Lesotho workers and the Zimbabwean migrants. That is where the tension. People allegedly say that is only those labour brokers only provide jobs to Lesothos, the migrants of Lesotho. And they complained they did not get work, and basically that lead to a kind of a situation where the Zimbabwean people try to prevent the Lesotho workers from going, and people take a decision that nobody, if there is no fairness of equality amongst the labour brokers, then nobody must go to work. And that is where the the violence erupt, when the Zimbabwean people try to prevent the Lesotho people not going to the work unless they address the issue of the question of labor brokers. So the question, the heart of the problem is labor brokers.
It seems to be very concerning, though, because earlier on when we spoke to the Labour Department's chief inspector in the Western Cape, there seems to be a need to determine how undocumented people actually got work on the farms in the first place. Do you think that there needs to be more involvement and action from the Department of Labour to deal with this issue? Because that's the bottom line here is why are two groups of people from Lesotho and Zimbabwe fighting where the Department of Labour is actually saying that they're actually undocumented?
You see, now the question of undocumented always come when there is problems. Now, you can deal with the question of undocumented migrants. But the problem here is the over-regulations of labor brokers. Is labor brokers have now completely taken over on the farms. And they basically sidelight even permanent workers. So whenever a permanent workers resign or dismiss of whatever happened, they replace permanent workers with labor brokers. So the long-term process of the problem, to address the problem, is to sit down with all the stakeholders and discuss the question of labor brokers. Labor brokers is the core problem here, and the farmers are trying to hiding behind labor brokers. Now the farmers is not even prepared to come into the stakeholder meeting. They said, no, there's not a problem. The problem is labor brokers. So we have to attend. We must. There's a multiple problems. There's the question of poverty in the area, the scarce resources in the area, people fighting about the scarce resources, about jobs. But at the heart of the problem is the question of how the farmers are using labor brokers to maximize profit for themselves and to render our people into poverty. That is the problem. And to weaken the unions. They're using labor brokers to further weaken the unions. And the department don't address the question. The question is that we're talking about the overloading of labor brokers for quite some time. Nobody listened. You see, you cannot have a situation where labor brokers are taking over the farms. And the workers in the areas, they did not getting work. That is the problem.
Certainly, I think there's a bigger call now for the Minister of Labour and Employment, Thulas Nxesi, to address this issue as quickly as possible. Thank you so much for your time, Karel Swart, for speaking to us about this issue. It seems to be quite volatile in the Western Cape. Hopefully it's addressed soon.